Good morning. Today is Monday, July 21st. This is Wake Up with KERA News, and I'm Andrew Garcia. Highs today are going to continue to peak in the upper 90s. We'll see some breezes and even some wind gusts, so hopefully that'll cool us down a little bit, at least. Today, the Texas legislature's special session opens. President Donald Trump is hoping to pick up 5 seats in Congress for Republicans. We'll hear how Texas's rare mid-decade round of redistricting could affect the state and the balance of power in a closely divided Congress. That's after the news. Let's get into it. A new Texas law aiming to reduce the cost of housing goes into effect in September. The law allows developers to build apartments in commercial areas, but some leaders like Rebecca Boxell of District 5 in Arlington are worried. She says the law takes away important local control, which would make correcting potential mistakes more difficult. Boxell is hopeful the city's existing rules will help keep some local control. According to recent estimates, Texas needs roughly 320,000 more homes to meet current demand. Construction on the McKinney National Airport's passenger terminal has begun. The new 46,000 square foot terminal will include 4 gates and a new taxiway for the airfield. The airport expansion has faced controversy. McKinney voters struck down a $200 million bond for a 16-gate terminal in 2023. McKinney Mayor Bill Cox says the city council listened to voters and changed the plan so that it's funded by sales tax. Flights out of the new terminal are expected to start late next year. The Texas State Legislature's special session opens at noon today. Disaster recovery and preparedness are at the top of many Texans' minds, but Houston Public Media's Andrew Snyder reports congressional redistricting will take up much of lawmakers' attention over the next month.
Texans were still absorbing the shock of the deadly Hill Country flood when Governor Greg Abbott proclaimed the agenda for the special session. Congressional redistricting sat near the bottom of a list of 18 priorities. State Representative Gene Wu of Houston heads the Texas House Democratic Caucus.
You're using one of the absolute worst tragedies that has hit Texas families in a long time since Uvalde, and use that to give yourself a political advantage?
Abbott said he was adding redistricting to the special session call in response to a letter from the U.S. Department of Justice, which identified 4 congressional districts representing communities in which Black and/or Latino residents make up a majority as, quote, unconstitutional racial gerrymanders. Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Austin ridiculed the idea in a press conference.
The absurdity of the justification for this redistricting is that a Republican-controlled legislature led by President Trump's campaign manager in the Senate, signed by his loyal follower, Governor Abbott, that Republican redistricting plan discriminated against white people in Texas. Not a big problem that we've ever had down there in my lifetime.
Houston Democratic Congressman Al Green represents one of the districts Trump's Justice Department wants redrawn. He says he's prepared to file fresh impeachment charges against Trump in response to the redistricting.
For those who live outside of the state of Texas, beware. This is not going to end here. This is the beginning. It will reach your state at some point.
Houston Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, who represents another targeted district, says there's little Democrats can do in the short run to prevent the Texas legislature from redrawing the maps.
Regrettably, they have the votes. So unless we fight back, and we intend to fight back, and we fight back strong and make sure that our voices are heard, we may end up with a very, very different map, and people are going to be confused, not knowing who their rep is and what's going on. So it is truly a sad state of affairs.
According to Punchbowl News, which broke the story, President Trump told the Texas Republican congressional delegation he wanted to pick up 5 seats. Washington State Congresswoman Susan Del Bene, who chairs the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, says Republicans should be careful what they wish for.
It's basic math. For them to try to break up Democratic-held districts, they will have to weaken Republican districts, who already are facing political headwinds.
GOP strategist Sarah Marie Ridley admits that Republicans are running a calculated risk, but she says the redistricting isn't as dramatic as it's being characterized.
And at the end of the day, voters are always going to have the power to determine their representation. And so if you really don't like it, then use it to motivate voters who may have otherwise stayed home.
We reached out to Governor Abbott to ask why he had chosen to add redistricting to a packed special session agenda rather than calling a separate special session. His press secretary, Andrew Garcia, responded, quote, "While partisan activists focus solely on political issues, Governor Abbott is dedicated to delivering results on issues important to Texans, such as flood relief, property tax cuts, and the elimination of the STAR test." We also reached out to multiple Texas Republican members of Congress and Republican state lawmakers to ask about redistricting. None were available to comment.
That was Houston Public Media's Andrew Snyder reporting. The Texas Rangers have had a decent start following the end of the All-Star break, winning 2 of their 3 games against the Detroit Tigers over the weekend. They now play the Athletics this evening, another weaker team, should we say, they can hopefully get some wins against. Enjoy an alternate retelling of Odysseus and Penelope's love story at the Addison Performing Arts Centre. Odysseus and Penelope is a loose adaptation of Homer's epic, but features live original music and much more. For more information and other fun things to do, visit our Go See DFW calendar at KERA.org/calendar. Thanks for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. This show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit KERA.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter. You'll get a more in-depth look into the news with plenty of good morning vibes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Welcome to the week. We'll see you tomorrow.